have done and which we have done, have been doing, is directly impacting social skills, and that is why today's session is, I think, crucial for us, all of us, to connect all what is happening to this social skills. So you must have gone through these questions. So if you have read this case, please start discussing about this first or second or third or fifth, fourth or fifth question, whatever question you feel you can you liked or you want to talk about. Okay. So what do you think? Kavita was able to collect all the objective evidence about Pallavi because she wanted to.
That principal ma'am did not, I think she could have called her Pallavi's friends, maybe her close friends or best friends or somebody close.
That Ira and Alia.
Yeah,
that
her other friends, maybe somebody
other
who,
friends. Okay.
That kutetari that Manjita said na, that she used to talk to her other friends. And she had overheard their conversation.
Correct.
So she must be having somebody else like whom she talks more openly.
Okay.
So they could have been called for cross examination types.
Yeah, perhaps.
To know her truer nature.
Yeah. But Manjita tried to, what do you think? Manjita tried to do a lot of talking, and Kavita, principal, was not really wanting to, what is the word, hear about it. What do you think about it?
I think generally principal or somebody head, it tries to have a balanced kind of an approach. Asa kaitari mala vatla, like safer approach.
Safer approach. Okay.
Tries to listen to all sides and be neutral and asa kaitari.
Okay.
Asa kaitari mala vatla. I thought.
Acha. So she thought perhaps that Manjita was too, what is the word, dramatic or hyper dramatic or something like that.
She could have kept that thing in her mind. Very tricky actually to solve without any direct witness. Just have to.
Yeah, and this is always.
So I thought Pallavi's close friends could have given some idea about her true nature.
Okay. No, but Snail, the problem is always in our life, we always get such, what is the word, second-hand information.
That is correct.
We generally, not always, generally. And slowly we form our opinions based on you said something, then another friend said something, another friend something, and then our picture is slowly getting formed. What do you think?
That is true. There's a direct witness nastana kathin hai bolna.
So it is very difficult to say that she has collected all the objective evidence.
Yeah, that is true. She has not collected all the objective evidence.
Sonali, you want to say something?
I'm not able to mute her somehow. I don't know why.
I see.
Sonali, can you mute yourself?
Yeah. Anyone wants to comment on that? What do you feel, Pranav? Sachin sir?
Yeah,
Sonali, she did. Okay.
Sir, actually, I got a bit late, so I just finished reading the case.
Okay.
Maybe.
You will be able to relate to it because, we work in companies, no? In companies, we always work with inadequate information, incomplete information.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know whether we can make a blanket statement कि companies मध्ये असं नेहमी होतं. I'm not sure about it, but whenever we work in a large group of people, whether it is doctors or whether it is schools or whether it is corporate, we work with a lot of subjective evidence, and we form our opinions, and we not only form opinions, we take actions based on that opinions, and this is the case all about it.
Yes. Sir, the graphic you had on the slide, Sherlock Holmes, that is very appropriate.
Yeah,
Because
correct.
nothing concrete can be said about this case without
Correct.
without more information. Is what I
Yes,
felt.
you're right. Nothing concrete can be said about Pallavi here, and what has happened and why it has happened.
But it looks like she is getting away. But to what extent, that is difficult to
It
say.
is difficult to say, correct. Right. Yeah, even Kavita, the principal is not sure after that whole questioning session happened. Tila वाटलं की Pallavi is hiding something, but she's not able to, what is the word, pinpoint it to anything. म्हणजे मध्येच वाटत पण होतं पण not sure also about it. And one of her colleagues, Easter, another teacher, she was probably supporting her, and therefore making it easier probably for principal. Yeah, but these are the cases when we don't. Why do you think Kavita was not able to go after information? Now I'm asking you a question about emotions. Which emotion is perhaps stopping her?
So probably anxiety or fear
Of what might come out of
her,
it, is it?
Yeah, of her parents again.
Correct. The Adichi case, because of that earlier case, her parents came directly next day.
Yeah.
So yes, very true. Anxiety must be one definite reason there. Anxiety could be one. What else?
And जसं just in the case, Pallavi has a reputation. Kavita also has a reputation to keep.
Reputation.
So anxiety about her reputation and in general.
And when we have anxiety about our reputation, what emotion? What is the name of the emotion we call it?
Shame.
नाही, थोडंसं आपण त्याला नाव वेगळं दिलं मागच्या सेशन मध्ये. सेकंड इमोशन.
Jealousy. Sorry.
Inadequacy. Like in such situation, the Kavita or whosoever is have to feel very adequate about it. Otherwise, if I am not comfortable with myself, if I feel I am not adequate, and tomorrow again that parents are going to come and I am going to be questioned, and I have to again answer that questions, and I'm not sure whether I can answer those questions or not, because last time I could not answer them. Suddenly, it raises all doubts which I have about myself.
So are inadequacy and confidence one and the same? Confidence or lack thereof one and the same things, or are they different? Or can we call them as synonyms?
Yes, we can call them synonymous. We can call them synonymous. lack of rather inadequacy is a lack of confidence, I mean, and moment someone tells us, you and me, for example, I might have seen Pallavi and I feel very confident, and suddenly, someone comes to me and doubts it. Even in that, amidst that whole feeling, I suddenly feel, Pranav might be right, yaar, ye to pata hi nahi tha mujhe. And so, we very quickly doubt ourselves very easily. And therefore, in such situations where, like Snehal was saying, where the first-hand evidence is not available, it is very easy to shake me up. Very easy. What do you think? But who has a better social skill between three? Kavita, Manjita, Restore, or you can even talk about Ira, Alia, and Pallavi, three girls.
Alia.
Alia.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like that?
Because she could express her whatever things, though she was having fear in her mind. She was
Okay.
able to tell all things clearly to the teacher.
Acha. Oh, I see. Okay.
So
If you keep morality and ethics aside,
okay.
then I think Pallavi has them better because ज्याला आपण चालू म्हणतो तसं चालूपणा जर ती करत असेल तर आय विल काउंट दॅट एज अ सोशल स्किल ऑन द निगेटिव्ह साइड.
Yes. No, you have made a very nice point, but here, Pranav, what you are saying is social skill is not what is the word? What is the word you just say? Ethical or non-ethical? It is just a social skill of managing people's impression, of managing people's emotions. And if you can see that from that angle, then we realize that Pallavi is probably more smarter socially than Ira and Alia. She's using her power also, very beautifully. Power of being a daughter of a doctor parents, who can come for her and fight for her. What do you feel, Madhura?
That is true, sir. That is true. But I looked at it in a different.
No, you're also looking at from a different what is the word? Window angle,
Because I felt that Pallavi is lying.
Yeah.
So lying doesn't lead you to some, and like after some events, she may get exposed in.
She may get
other
exposed.
way.
Yeah, that is also true.
So lying will not end her in a good social status. So she will. That's why.
Madhura, your voice is very low.
Madhura, तुझा voice फार छोटा low है.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. So I felt that lying is not it will not help her to have a good social status end of the day.
Okay.
Maybe in some event she will be exposed. So I don't feel that. But of course she has good social skills. She managed this whole scenario in a different way. But I felt like Alia, because she was able to express it to her teacher, so that's why. So maybe that child was little emotionally sound, so though she cried, she could express it in a better way to the teacher. The Ira was not able to speak up. So that's why.
Yeah, I agree with Madhura. In the long term, this is probably a bad idea on Pallavi's part in the long term.
Okay.
हे काय पॉलिटिशियन वगैरे बनू शकते का लॉंग रन मध्ये काही नाही.
That is true. Yeah.
In fact, I don't know whether you are aware, they say that politicians like Hitler, and they have given a lot of examples about his ability to make speeches, which are very emotional speeches, very emotional speeches. He used to manipulate emotions, and he did it very beautifully. So leaders have this amazing ability to manipulate our emotions and make us do things which otherwise we would normally not do. So whether, like you rightly said, whether we should call this as a good skill or a bad skill is something like difficult to say. Despite that, social skills are social skills.
So I read so sort of off topic, but I read a sentence recently that sort of seemed obvious only in hindsight. The sentence was, and I'm paraphrasing, ki humans cannot think without involving emotions. So rational thinking वगैरे आपण म्हणतो, but actually ते जे आपल्याला individually we think of it as rational, but we are always involving our emotions unconsciously there. There is no true rational thinking as such. It's just that emotions असतात, फक्त त्या थोडाफार आपण दुर्लक्ष करू शकतो किंवा we can probably handle them to a certain extent, but because our brain has evolved in that way, we cannot think keeping emotions totally aside. So that I found that very impacting. I used to think, yes, we can think rationally and the skill develop karala pahiye, but beyond a certain limit, my thinking is going to be affected by my emotions, my bring up, my everything around me.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, you are 100%. Psychologists will 100% agree with you.
इन्फ्लुएन्शियल माइंड पुस्तक त्याच्यावरच मी घेतलं.
Okay.
So it is, you're right. I mean, we think we can think rationally when we want
Exactly,
to.
yes.
But
मला हेच म्हणायचं होतं, yeah.
But the problem is our emotional brain is so strong and so subtle and so powerful that we don't even know that we are influenced by it indirectly also. We don't even sometimes know, not every time. Sometimes we know very easily. Many times we don't even know that. So that is very true, very true.
Yeah, that is what the article said.
Okay. So today we are going to talk about these, how emotions play this big role in our social equations, and how this inadequacy, how this anxiety, how this jealousy also here to some extent was seen between Manjita and Esther and the person concerned, and the girls. Jealousy of Ira, Alia, and Pallavi was very obvious. I mean, very clear. And so all these emotions play some kind of a khichdi, and then that when we see something out of that, it is so difficult to decipher and separate them and say, no, this must have happened. And like Snehal said, and see, the problem here is Kavita is a principal. Kavita has a stake in this event. Kavita, if she manages this event again, like she has managed the earlier event with Pallavi, it is going to cause problems for her. Despite all that, we go this route. We go this route. That doesn't mean we are people who are not committed, we are not honest, we are not courageous. That doesn't mean that actually. It means that we are very emotional people, and we take calls and decisions based on our temporary judgments like this. When they happen, we find people who are around us who will support us. We also find people who will not support us. We find a way to counter them, and we find a way to go ahead with them. And we take decisions, and we feel we are taking objective decision. Many a time, like Kavita is feeling. And So this is a case of all of us, and how we think about our children, our situations around us. And therefore, we will talk about this now. Our view of worlds have three branches. One branch which we talked about yesterday, day before yesterday, for the showed emotions, is a branch of belief. And it may start with opinion that Pallavi is bad or Pallavi is good, get converted into conviction, then belief, and then a social belief. So this is one branch which we obviously all of us see and use here in relationships all the time, in discussions. So this branch. Second branch is the branch of fact, which is driven by science. And sometimes we tend to feel that, hurry, we should be scientific about it, objective about it, collect information about it, and therefore separate facts from beliefs and take conscious decisions. And if you see COVID cases recently, and if you see Djokovic's case, I don't know whether you have been following Djokovic's case. Djokovic is a tennis player who was banned from playing in Australian Open because he had some very strong views about vaccines. And despite so much of evidence and so much of talk about what are vaccines, whether vaccines are helpful against COVID or not, I'm sure you are aware that there are two camps, anti-vaccine camp and vaccine camp. And unfortunately, Djokovic was one person who was in anti-vaccine camp. And he was therefore, despite all the proof he managed to show to the Australian authorities, the Australian authority overrode that proof and said that if we allow Djokovic now to play in Australian Open, we will be telling people indirectly that not taking vaccine is okay. And we don't want to give this signal to our people. And therefore he was banned. So it can happen to a person of Djokovic's stature. A person came there to play on invitation from the Australian Open. And so it looks that this branch of facts and science and branch of beliefs are different. Unfortunately, they are not different. They are very same, and they are two sides of one coin only. Thus you will be, realizing that dowry was a big problem, social problem. So people came and said, let us have anti-dowry laws. Dhanadhan anti-dowry laws passed. So we thought that, oh, wonderful, we have to tackle the problem by using laws, the fact branch, of beliefs. But you know what happened? Even now, dowries are taken and given. And so we find a way of doing it, So because beliefs are important to us. So world of science, although we feel gives us clear evidence about what is right and what is wrong, we often ignore them, often bypass them, and whenever it is convenient for us. So although it looks that world of science will help us, world of objective evidence will help us, world of knowing what is right and what is wrong will help us, it is often not true. It is often not true. We avoid the help. we don't take that help even when that help is available. And there's a third branch which is more useful for us, which is called personal beliefs. Personal beliefs means should we harm the environment or not? Should we believe in equality of human beings? Should we believe in that caste does not matter, for example, color does not matter? So these are all personal beliefs. And as you are aware, these personal beliefs can change our lives completely, because we call them values. So we give examples of Martin Luther King, and we give examples of Gandhiji, and we give examples of so many people who live their lives by values. So they are also using the same branch, but now in a different way. And they convince us, Mahatma Gandhiji convinced us that ahimsa is the value on which we can get our independence. And we got our independence. Although even now, many people want to disagree that ahimsa is good, but actually he proved it to us. And those values, but despite that proving and all that, there are people who will come out and say, sorry, I don't agree with it. And because they are beliefs, part of beliefs. So if you look at this so-called beautiful structure of beliefs, you will realize that why are social beliefs useful now? Because they help us take away actions by substituting knowledge. Like in case of Kavita, it is helping her take action about one of her student by substituting knowledge, by substituting objective evidence. But right, like we saw in this case of Kavita, they also hide big conflicts. Like in the Djokovic case also, we saw the big conflict of vaccine and anti-vaccine was hidden, and we don't like to expose them. We don't like to talk about them. So social beliefs have a two-pronged nature. They speed our thinking and decision making, but they also hide a lot of things. What are values? This branch, value branch. Values help us answer the question, why to earn money? Why to live our life? And therefore, they are very useful for us. So many a times, in fact, psychologists say it very openly, that if you want to reduce your problems of emotions, have values. Because automatically all your decisions are taken by that so-called big value which you have. And then life becomes simpler. So values are useful for us. They make our life simpler also. And like you rightly said, fact branch, this branch of the third branch is meant to deal with vaccination cases, dowry cases, corruption cases. And like in real life, we use this branch whenever it suits us, and we avoid this branch whenever it suits us. So whether it is about dowry, or whether it is about vaccination, whether it is about corruption. So it's although we like to use it, we want to, because we know that science has taken us so far now, until now. हे आपल्याला माहिती आहे intuitively. We know this intuitively, but we still what is the word? Use it, rather than objectively see it and take a decision based on it. We use it as it suits us. Okay, so let us understand how beliefs are formed. Okay, so if beliefs are, dominating our lives in every front of our life, even in science, even in relationships, and in our personal life, and let us understand how beliefs are formed. So Chris Agris is a person who first, said what are beliefs. He is an organizational theorist. So he said we form beliefs about a person in 4 steps. What are those? So we see an event, like Pallavi's event. We see an event, information and events all happen around us. We notice certain part of this event. So I'm using now our system thinking loops here to explain to you. This means when I see the event, out of this event, I notice certain data out of this event. So if this increases, this increases. I add my own meaning to that information, cultural meaning and personal meaning. Like Kavita added different meaning to it, and Manjita adding different meaning to it. And with repetition, they become beliefs. So initially they were opinions, and slowly, with repetition, they become beliefs. So now let us use this case of Kavita and Manjita to understand how is this happening. Okay. So first Kavita forms opinions about Pallavi. So she is first in the class. So Pallavi is good because she is good in academics. See, we generally have a positive opinion about people who are clever. and I was one of those persons who took benefit of this positive opinions a lot in my school days. So two, she sings in assembly. So Kavita now says Pallavi is good because she has a talent, singing talent. So once again, our belief that a talented person is good helps us make an opinion about Pallavi, that Pallavi also must be good. So just mark this underlines. So first underline of red was the academics. Second underline was about talent in singing. And third is her parents are well-known doctors. So they are very famous doctors in the city, in Jalgaon. So Pallavi is good because she is a daughter of doctor parents. So now every event is helping Kavita notice certain thing, affix meaning to it, and increase the threshold level of her opinion about Pallavi. And once opinion reaches threshold level manje, imagine that initially what Kavita was thinking was Pallavi she had an opinion. Pallavi is good in academics. She had an opinion. Pallavi is talented in singing. She has an opinion. Pallavi is a daughter of a famous doctor. So what they say is, in systems thinking, as these opinions keep on piling over each other, we create a stock. Threshold stock of opinion is reached. Kavita now sees Pallavi differently. Now she says Pallavi is good. Okay, so now no more Kavita is looking at Pallavi. What is the word? Objectively. Pallavi is looking. Kavita is looking at Pallavi with some kind of a tainted threshold stock belief. Now what happens? Pallavi fights with friends. Now see this, because of this belief, Kavita now sees and notices only certain data, not all the data about Pallavi. So Pallavi fights with friend. Pallavi has a fight with Alia and Ira. And what does Kavita conclude? Kavita concludes, Pallavi cannot use such a cuss word. So now threshold belief is stopping Pallavi, or rather making Pallavi believe that although Pallavi had a fight with her friends Alia and Ira, she cannot use a cuss word. If someone is saying that, something is wrong about it. So beautiful structure has got created. And in the language of psychologists, threshold beliefs are called biases. We call them bias. Manje, Kavita had a biased feeling about Pallavi. So it is called bias, threshold beliefs. The same happened with Manjita, but in a different game. So what happens with Manjita? Manjita forms opinions about Pallavi because she got disturbed. She disturbed her mathematics class, Manjita's class. And for which Manjita punished her. And Pallavi is bad, therefore, because she created problems in her class. Pallavi's parents are famous doctors. Now see, the same event which Pallavi is now seeing in a one way, Manjita is seeing in a different way. Pallavi is bad because she has used her power of parents. So Pallavi's parents are famous doctors. Kavita used it to say she's better, she's good, she's talented. And Manjita is now saying Pallavi is bad because she used her power of parents to make the principal and Manjita listen to their opinion. So once opinion reaches threshold level, again, same thing happens. Now this is Manjita's threshold belief. Pallavi is not so good. Now with this Manjita's beliefs, again now new event happens. Which event? The fight between Ira, Alia and Pallavi. So, and now what does Manjita conclude? Manjita concludes Pallavi must have used curse words. So Pallavi had in our, let us use the word one bias. Manjita had one bias about Pallavi and Kavita had another bias about Pallavi. Both have seen the same event and both are coming to different conclusions about Pallavi. So the situation therefore is in conflict. So now if you see this situation, Kavita and Manjita, so structure of two people in conflict with biases. Bias, she thinks that Pallavi is right. This side, I am talking. So Kavita feels she has a bias that she thinks Pallavi is right, a good child. So she finds evidence to prove that Pallavi is right. So she talked to Esther. She finds people, she tries to gain support from others like Esther also, who believes in same way like Kavita believes. And more she finds support for her view, more her bias increases. So bias makes her find evidence, find people, and more she finds the people, more the bias increases. So this is a very beautiful reinforcing loop. Plus, 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 plus. You know, ज़्यादा bias बढ़ती ही जाता है. Bias keeps on increasing. What happens to Manjita? Manjita says she finds evidence to prove Pallavi is wrong because her bias was Pallavi is wrong. Idhar wala bias, you know, this side. Because she thought she is wrong, she finds evidence to prove Pallavi is wrong. And she tells the Kavita also, I have seen her giving, saying cuss words. So that is her evidence. She tries to gain support from others. She does not gain any support. And if she gets more support, then her bias will also increase further. So now see the structure of these two people. One with a positive bias of vis-a-vis Pallavi, another with Manjita with a negative bias vis-a-vis Pallavi. So two people in conflict with their biases. Biases are what? Threshold beliefs about a particular level.
So in this case, yeah, it's a confirmation bias, classic confirmation.
Correct. So in this case, it is a confirmation bias. You're right. So when these conflicts are in work, both parties stop listening to each other. You know, Kavita stops listening to Manjita, and Manjita also feels Kavita is not listening to her. Objective data gathering stops. Only right data is gathered. Right means what Kavita feels is right and what Manjita feels is right. So Manjita gathers her data that she is using cuss word. I have heard her. And Kavita says, you're wrong. I have talked with everyone and she cannot be using cuss words. And therefore, wrong options are chosen because one sees only part data, part reality. So despite Kavita's serious intention of collecting all the objective evidence, wanting to take, right decisions, when such things happen, when only one sees part reality, which is not full reality, naturally you will choose wrong options. So my question to you is, why is it difficult to converse with each other when we have different opinions? What do you think? Because I'm sure you must have also gone in your life having such different opinions about X person or Y person. And you must have found it very difficult to converse with each other whenever you had such different opinions. What do you think? What could be happening?
So one of the things I've experienced is I find it sort of futile to even try to convince the other person. So that's of course a mistake on my part, or whoever is.
अच्छा, उसने ऑलरेडी
In that
कंक्लूजन कर
situation.
दिया है, अभी क्या फायदा क्या उससे बात करके, वैसा?
हाँ, ऐसा मुझे लगता है. Yes.
अच्छा,
So I find it futile की ठीक आहे, मी काही सांगितलं तरी या व्यक्तीला काही पटणार नाही.
Yeah, he is not going to
Might
change
as
his
well,
opinion.
yeah, might as well keep quiet and
Correct. Waste of
that
effort.
is,
Yes.
yeah. But I guess the question is why even that happens. Probably.
Why even that happens, perhaps? Yeah.
So I think the basic how I understand it is we do not like opinions that differ from ours, probably.
Yeah.
At the fundamental level. म्हणजे
Yes.
आपल्याला आपणच बरोबर वाटतो आणि
हो.
चुकीचा नेहमी दुसराच असतो आणि बरोबर
बरोबर.
नेहमी आपणच असतो.
बरोबर, अगदी बरोबर. म्हणजे मला सुद्धा वाटतं, तुला सुद्धा, आणि एव्हरीवन. आय मीन, या, व्हेरी ट्रू. And if we now look at our sessions of emotions we have taken, what emotion is making us do this? Perhaps, I'm saying, not, I mean, we cannot answer this question in a what is the word, definite mode of a scientific person, but
Anxiety, sir.
anxiety you feel. Anxiety kasa?
Because anxiety of that people not believing in our belief.
People will not believe in me. Oh, yes. Beautifully said. Correct. Yeah. Anxiety पण असेलच. बरोबर बोलतेस. आणि कुठली असेल दुसरी इमोशन?
Fear.
Fear म्हणजे anxiety.
Fear.
And anticipatory fear is anxiety. So and another is our close cousin of anxiety.
Inadequacy.
Correct. I mean, 9 out of 10 times, I have been proven to be wrong in the past. Or even 5 times. Forget about 9. 9 म्हणजे फारच जास्त झालं. Where I'm sure I'm wrong. Not that way. I'm saying 5 times out of 10, I know okay, I'm wrong. And that proves to me that माझं judgment ना थोडंसं biased असतं, माहिती का? I know that. When a person wears, म्हणजे sometimes I don't know, even I have concluded about myself की suppose मला एक color आवडत नाही, and that person is wearing most of the time that color, red color, for example, or yellow color. And because that person is wearing red color most of the time, I am already biased against that person. Can you believe that? And that bias will reflect on some characteristic like this, which has got nothing to do with the color of the shirt or the pant or what he is wearing. But it directly impacts us. And especially it impacts us people when we are meeting people like doctors, when people meeting new people like salesmen, when we are going to a car, buying a car and that person is there, or whether we are going to a car mechanic to show to him ki काय झालं माझ्या गाडीला, it has got stopped or tires puncture झालं. That आदमी के पास मैं देखता हूँ और बोलता है आय एम 100% शुअर महेश, एकच पंक्चर होतं, हात 4 सांगते, बंडल मारतोय. आय डोंट हॅव एव्हिडन्स टू प्रूव्ह इट. पण त्याचे ते कपडे, त्याची ती बोलण्याची पद्धत.
सर तुम्ही स्क्रीनच्या बाहेर जाताय,
Okay.
तुमचं एक्सप्रेशन दिसत नाही. जस्ट
Okay.
मागे सारखं.
So one is clear, because of an inadequacy, we do not want to be proven we are wrong. It is a painful reminder to myself that I'm taking such decision based on just my biases, and I don't want to be told that my biases are negative. We are scared to listen because listening gives us a feeling that we are less competent than that other fellow, and therefore it is again a function of inadequacy only, but in a very direct, indirect. And jealousy. Because of jealousy, listening makes us feel even more difficult. Makes us feel, if I'm not comfortable with people, if I'm not jealous about them all the time. Jealous manje, I'm talking about not that sibling jealousy, the jealousy that this person has more than what I have. That kind of a jealousy. Resentment jealousy. So when we are jealous about people who are flashy, for example, and who have beautiful clothes, and I don't wear good clothes, for example, then I will find it even more difficult to listen to their opinions. But as you know, and as I know, situation or a reality always has different angles. You must have seen this picture 100 times, I'm sure. This is a story of a blind, blind people, 6 blind people and an elephant. And because they were blind, and this blind person touched his trunk, he said, "Oh, this is a snake." Another blind person, he touched the tusk of his elephant. He says, "Oh, it is spear, talwar." Another person touched the ears of the elephant and he said, "Oh, it is a fan." Someone touched the legs of the elephant and he says, "It's a tree." Someone touched the big portion of his body and he said, "It's a wall." And another blind man said, after touching the shifty, "It's a rope." So reality in any situation, like in Pallavi's situation or Ira's situation, has different multiple angles. And all of these people are right. If you see this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people are right. They are not wrong. They are only saying partial reality. That's all. And the problem with these 6 people is everyone believes I am seeing the full reality. That is where the problem happens. So if 6 of them somehow come together and start talking with each other, and for a moment believe that let us hear each other. Ye kya bol raha hai? Acha, it is a wall, is it? What are you touching? Can we guess what could it be? I am thinking it is a tree. So reality and situation has multiple angles, but we all believe that my angle is the only angle which is giving me the full view of reality, and therefore I am the only person who is right. And this happens with all of us. Our beliefs limit our access to reality. So believe that this person is not good, this person is bad, this person is wearing wrong shirt. So Now, if you look at this, and now we will try to define what are social skills. Why did we do all this? To understand what are social skills. So social skills is about understanding our opinion of a situation, of a reality is different because we have a different role. R. Kavita has a role of a principal. Manjita had a role of a mathematics teacher. Esther had a role of a mathematics teacher. So our roles make us see things differently. When you are a mother, you see your child differently. When you are a father, you see your child differently. So your role, it is also called role bias, therefore, B is bias. We have a different bias of people, like in this situation, because Kavita saw things in a different way, and that made her have a positive bias about Pallavi, and therefore make her notice certain things which Manjita did not notice. And we have a different camera view. She is camera view. Camera view म्हणजे काय की when I see things differently, like for example, Manjita said, I listened to them. I have heard Pallavi and her friends talking and using cuss words. So she had a different camera view of her students because she was in touch with them. Unlike Kavita, who was a principal, who probably is not teaching any subject, and therefore she has a second-hand view of Pallavi. And this happens also in companies also. Manager has a different view than the field person because field person is in the field. He has a direct view. And Snehal said it in a very indirect words. Because manager is a manager, he always wants to take an impartial decision. And therefore, he is being away from that event makes him take more impartial decision, but also makes him gives him a partial view of reality. Both are true. So what are social skills? It is first about understanding that my opinion of a situation is different. My RBC is different. Role, bias, and camera view. And it is also understanding that someone else has a different RBC. I am Kavita, I am having a different RBC view. You are Manjita, Manjita has a different RBC. So social skills is understanding that both of our views can differ, and I should be able to converse with you to have a shared view of that reality, to have the shared view of the elephant. So that means I should not say कि you are looking at that fan and just not listen to you. I should say कि ये क्या होगा यार, ये हम दोनों एक ही बात देख रहे हैं, but I am seeing it is a rope and you are seeing it is a fan. Can there be some similarity in this? We converse with each other to arrive at a shared view of a reality. So this is a very in one-liner definition of a social skills, and a very important definition because it will tell you why you and me lack social skills. Because only with a shared view of reality or a situation like this, only knowing that we are touching elephant and not touching rope and not touching talwar and not touching snake and not touching the tree, we will be able to find solutions that are durable, that are not superficial. Only if Kavita has a shared view of reality with Manjita, she will be able to find a solution about Pallavi and 100 other students like Pallavi that are more durable for her school. Find root causes that help us tackle real different problems. Like you would have easily noticed in this situation of Pallavi, that the root cause Kavita nor Manjita, no one has tackled it. Sonali, काही बोलायचं आहे? And see the problem. When we don't have a shared view of reality, the alternative of not having a shared view of reality is even worse. Why? Because without shared view of reality, we are just splashing in the water. Kavita is doing and making a show that she is investigating. And talking with Easter, calling the three students to her office, asking them questions. So these are all called splashing in the water without moving. We are just floating. We are not moving in X direction or Y direction. We are just floating. And losing hope every day a bit with situation worsening every day. Like Manjita, when she lost that conversation with Kavita, the principal, and she could not convince her, she only felt, oh my God, again it has happened now. Again I have lost the opportunity. Imagine a scenario like this, and imagine day by day, Manjita is losing her hope, losing her confidence that she can influence a situation like this, and she doesn't even know what to do. Kya karu main abhi? I mean, I tried my best, and no one is listening to me. Because with every day, without doing anything, bias has become deeper and deeper. Because of that, you remember that loop which we talked about? Bias loop. So bias will become more and more, not less and less. Evidence becomes less and less shareable. I will become more and more adamant that my view and my evidence is right than your evidence. And therefore you will not listen to me, I will not listen to you. So the question is where to start? Have you observed such situations happening in your life? Ujjwal sir, आहात का तुम्ही? Because we want to meet your people and see that this doesn't happen in your group which you have formed, by which you are changing the entire landscape of the territory, of the water. What about others? What do others feel? Sonali, Rajashree, you tackle people every day.
Yes, sir.
You tackle people, I think, every day.
Yes, sir.
Have you encountered such situations in your life?
So please pardon.
नाही म्हटलं तुला असं अनुभवला आल्यात का गोष्टी की where you had one opinion about something, some person, and despite whatever your ability to talk to that person, you could not convince her or him, and you felt helpless, hopeless. Madhura, also, you are doctors. I'm sure you must be having some patients whom you could not perhaps convince. Huh?
थोडा नेटवर्क इश्यू होतोय माझ्याकडे आज.
Oh, is it? Okay. I see. It's okay.
डे टू डे लाईफ मध्ये खूप सारे असे होतात डिफरन्स ऑफ
Yeah,
ओपिनियन्स.
खरंच आहे. And you may think that this is a problem of big hospitals, big companies. We are currently dealing with one very big orphanage in Ahmednagar, And we are facing this problem. You can't believe this. It's one of the biggest orphanages, started and doing hell of a wonderful work. I mean, I can't imagine, I can't tell you how good that work is. And from last 20 years, not 2 years or not 3 years, last 20 years.
30 years.
30 years, sorry, 1990, barabar, 30 years. And they are facing this trouble at a very senior management level, because the views and the opinions are now markedly different. And they are not able to talk to each other and come to a conclusion that this is how we should now look at this future in this way. These are the actions we should take and these are the actions we should not take. It is very painful to see, very painful to see. But so this is also a problem. What I want to say, this is not only a problem in very big hospitals and big orphanages and big places. It is a problem even in your house. Why? Because in your house also, you are having your spouse with whom your opinions will differ. Your views will differ. Your RBC will differ because your roles are different. Your biases are different about your child. And your camera view is different. You are seeing your child from a different angle than your husband or your spouse is seeing. So if you look at this, the natural question you will ask is, so where to start? करायचं कसं आहे? How to tackle it? So start from your house. For example, see this scenario. I'm sure you have a child or maybe 2 children. In some cases, like in your cases, Deepali has 2 children. Madhura has 2 children. Trupti has 1. Vasundhara has 1. And you have a different way of looking at your children. You feel that your child is hardworking or talented but lazy. She is very good in athletics. And while your husband feels, no, it is not the same. Or not husband, maybe father-in-law, mother-in-law, or some important person in the house. So it is so odd to say that we must have a social skill in house too, to come to a conclusion about this. Because knowing how to converse with others with our different opinions is a very big social skill. It is required to find solutions for our problems, and especially our child's problems, whose future we are knowingly or unknowingly shaping. So therefore, if you look at your social skills, these are the 6 steps you have to learn. Now we will talk about them. Learn to shift your language. That means Kavita should shift her own language first before trying to shift Manjita's language. Learn to shift others' language. I will talk to you what do you mean by shifting language just in 1 minute. Recognize your bias of people. These are RBC. Role bias, your bias, and your camera view. So this is RBC. And learn to speak to the point. So we'll now just see how to apply this in Kavita's case. For example, if you see Kavita's case, Kavita first has to learn to shift her language. How to shift her language? By asking big questions. Oh, just a minute. I think, or I feel X is so and so. X means Pallavi. So Kavita needs to learn to talk to Manjita and say, I feel Pallavi is not using cuss word because of XYZ reasons. She should not say that Kavita is not doing it. I think Kavita is not doing it. I feel Kavita is not doing it. And I think Pallavi is not doing this because of XYZ evidence, which I have feel, And she should also talk to Manjita in this language. What makes you think that Pallavi is using cuss words? So she will say, I will tell you, I have in that particular evidence, I will show you the evidence of what happened in my maths class where I had to punish her that day. So in other words, start discussing those events. Right now, Kavita is completely avoiding those discussions. Kavita is not even making attempt to listen to the Manjita's point of view. So to make and to shift her attention to Manjita, first of all, Kavita has to start feeling less certain about what she is thinking. So instead of saying Pallavi is like this, she has to start saying, I think Pallavi is like this. Pallavi is a good, talented girl. Pallavi cannot use. I think Pallavi is not using curse words. And whatever evidence I feel, that means I should say very clearly, I feel Pallavi is not using curse words because she is the daughter of two famous doctors. She has got a good training at home. So she cannot be using curse words. असं हे मी explicitly म्हणायला शिकायचं. Don't assume this. So we are talking about using these three questions in a very smart way. So first to shift your language and then to shift others' language. Are you getting the point? Okay, then recognizing her bias of people. That means her bias, she is not probably seeing Pallavi properly. And my beliefs are, my bias is different about Pallavi. That's all. Recognizing my bias. Like they say, you cannot remove the bias. Doctor, psychologists म्हणतात की if I am biased with you, for you, positive bias or negative bias, I cannot remove that bias. I only have to recognize that I have a positive bias about you or a negative bias about you. So I have to recognize my bias. So Kavita has to recognize her bias of Pallavi is positive. Recognize that role bias, that I am a principal and I must see things differently. I have to weigh these different views about Manjita and Easter and Ira and Alia, all this. That is my role, and that has a bias inherent in it because I'm supposed to take some decision on it because I'm answerable to that parents outside. Unlike Easter is not answerable, Manjita is not answerable. So I have to recognize my role bias because of which I have to take some call. And I have to recognize my special camera view also. Which means what? She is avoiding that. Have you observed that she is constantly avoiding talking to Manjita about what is so different about girls only schools? Why girls give and behave differently in girls only schools? She keeps on avoiding that because probably it is challenging some special belief of hers which she doesn't want to be challenged. I don't know what, but there is something which is stopping her to talk about Manjita. So you have to recognize that view about her. And learn to speak to the point. I don't know whether you have heard about Mark Twain's story. Mark Twain wrote to his nephew saying that I'm sorry I cannot write to you a short letter because I don't have time. See the contrast here. Huh? I cannot write to you a short letter because I don't have time. In other words, when you have to speak in a very short way, you have to think a lot. You have to summarize it a lot. And you have to speak to the point a lot. And that's a very good example to remember. Because many a times when we don't have anything to talk, we talk a lot. So learn to speak to the point.
So speaking to the point requires mental clarity.
Yeah, mental
which
clarity.
takes time.
Correct.
Another similar story I read about is a boss comes to his secretary and says, give me a 7-page report about yesterday's meeting. Secretary says, it will take me 2 hours. So he says, okay, give me a 1-page report. He says it will take 2 days.
Acha. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it is exactly like that. Yeah. So talking in a summary way is very tough, very tough. Because it requires, like you rightly said, mental clarity, and it requires a very specific focus on our biases and emotions also, so that we know where that we are not bringing our biases directly in that. So these are the 6 steps to do it. We will quickly cover how to do it in, why should we do it about our children with our spouse. So beliefs about your own children, probably you and your spouse may be having these beliefs which are similar. Probably I'm saying, because generally आपण mistake करत नाही, दोघे घरातल्या मुलांबद्दल बोलत असतो. But you will find there is a big problem when you have beliefs about others. Others म्हणजे कोण? The teacher who is teaching your child, the maid who is taking care of your house, or the driver who is dropping her every time, or the drawing teacher to whom your child is going to class. Yeah, these are very interesting cases, because this is where you and your spouse will differ a lot. And this is where this, these 3 questions will help you get a lot of clarity. And otherwise, we generally, आपण असं वरवरच बोलतो लोकांबद्दल. We avoid any detailed discussions. But these are very beautiful places to check our own biases, check our own beliefs, and find out whether, how are we processing them. And they are very, what is the word? Non-hurting. म्हणजे जरी मी चुकलो तरी, and if I am being corrected, probably I will not feel bad, I'm saying. So it's a good way and a good place to correct. I don't know whether you agree with me or not on that, whether it is easy to correct such things. But हे घरात फार होतं, especially कामवाली बरोबर, the person who is coming every day to your house, everyone has a different opinion about that person. होतं का तुमचं पण? Belief about other parents. Your child is playing in a ground and you also meet a lot of other parents there. And you have some or other opinion about every parent, believe me that. You could generally keep that to yourself and not say anything. But once again, I'm saying, they are very beautiful places to discuss and sort out your own beliefs with your spouse. It is very interesting to notice that how small sample. I've seen that parent only for 5 minutes, but that small sample of 5 minutes has created very big differences in beliefs. These are some of the important beliefs which directly impact our child's upbringing. If I believe that if a child asks a question, we should tell the answer. And if my partner believes no, then we are going to, nurture our child differently. If I believe that teaching discipline is more important than teaching a subject, then I am going to behave very differently with my child than you are. If I believe that children needs to be controlled first to be taught, they should be disciplined, they should be controlled, then I have a very different way of nurturing my child. So these are some of the important beliefs which directly or indirectly determine our actions with our children, and therefore are very important. You won't believe, right? 1 month back, and these are, such beliefs are not even visible to both the parents. This is the very surprising part of it. Uh, a month back, Mahesh had gone to one of his parent and he said ki my child is having a trouble. So Mahesh said, kya zale? What happened? He said he is not talking at all. And then Mahesh went to meet them. And what does he find? And you will be shocked, Mahesh, do you want to say that? Tell the story of that. Or should I tell?
तुम्ही सांगा म्हणजे तुम्हाला बऱ्यापैकी
You can correct it. Yeah, you can correct it.
I can correct.
So he went to that parent. This is a child who is in 10th class. Sorry, 12th class, trying to give a JEE exams preparation. He has been given a house in Pune. He's staying alone in that house. Why? Because both the parents, one is working in Pune, one is working on the outskirts of Pune, another is working in Ahmednagar because she's a government MPSC based pass zali म्हणून she can't leave the job. So mother is like that. And both of them sat with that and both the parents said ki Mahesh was just listening to that entire thing. So Mahesh asked them, are you saying your child in 12th now, you are at Ahmednagar and you are at near Pune, some 30 kilometers away, not staying with your child?
त्याच्या आधी एक रिपीटेडली त्यांचं दोघांचं स्टेटमेंट येत होतं. आम्ही तर त्याला सांगितलंय काही टेन्शन घ्यायचं नाही.
हा करेक्ट सॉरी.
हे फार म्हणजे राईट फ्रॉम मी त्यांच्या फोनवर पण बोलायचो ना. नाही मी त्यांना विचारायचो की त्याने तुम्ही
हिंदीमध्ये
सॉरी I used to ask them on phone whether he's under stress of because you expect him to score well. Both of them used to say no, we are okay with his result, whatever result is, maybe we are okay with it, and it is not about only marks, and this is what they used to say. And and once we actually met, the three of us, the child was also there, and they suddenly started, they introduced me to a child and just expect me to guide him then and there.
Okay.
So I said no, I can't speak to him because he's not going to trust. So I asked child to leave from there, and then tried to converse with them, and they both again repeatedly said that he's not under our stress or mark stress. But then then the next is ki mother is in Ahmednagar, father is in outskirts of Pune, both are doctors. His admission is in Yeola because his uncle is a professor there. He might because of his uncle he has a freedom to go to Pune and attend extra classes of JEE.
Oh, okay.
And there they have bought separate flat for single child. There's only this child. So the rent was around 15,000-20,000 a month. The fees class of the fee, it should be around 2.5 lakhs.
Sure.
So I just noticed that he need not be said that he is under stress, but the situation is like this, that he or anybody like in place of the child is going to be under stress because they have done so much adjustment for his studies.
For the child, correct.
So much sacrifice.
So see the funny thing here, it is happening, and these are well-educated parents, and not that they don't understand. I'm sure I don't understand how they can't understand that, and they are complaining to Mahesh ki ha mulga to bole na sa zalela hai. He's not talking at all with us. He's not talking with any friends of his. Because he has become very anxious about his what will happen to his JEE. And we are telling him, no, bro, don't worry, no problems. Even if you don't score well, it's okay with us.
And spending lakhs of rupees per month and saying not to worry. This cannot happen because he's 18-year child. He knows.
So see,
But once they were sensitized that this stress can that he's under stress because of not because of what you say, but because what you have done.
correct.
they immediately realized it, and then actually got anxious that he's staying alone. Stress
Thank
might
God. Yes.
so stress might go into some other direction. So even I mean purposely I scare them that don't allow him to stay alone. Either take him to Nagar or Pune, or somebody should stay with him. Then they realize,
I see.
Mhm.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why am I telling you these cases? These beliefs are so invisible, I mean, both the parents are doctors and they are doing this to their child unknowingly. So learning from this session is how to converse with each other when we have different opinions due to our role bias, belief bias, and camera. RBC. So before we move to the emotional session, which we want to catch up, which we missed last time. Any questions you have?
And just about this case which we have discussed just right now about doctors and all. What we comment at the end is unknowingly mistake of the parents. What would be
Correct.
like if we place ourselves in their place? What's exactly is their mistake?
Yeah.
स्पेंडिंग मोर टाइम विथ चाइल्ड असं मला बऱ्याच वेळेला फीडबॅक असायचा.
I see.
अंडरस्टँड मोर अँड मोर
About your child.
या
Okay. No, but Sachin is asking, Dr. Sachin is asking a question, what exactly is their mistake?
So only if they spend more time, they would realize it, whatever it is like.
Oh, okay. Okay. That way you are saying it. Okay.
If she is like going the other way.
Why is the boy not talking with other children also?
Acha, that way. I thought it was about the case. Doctor parents case, no?
Doctor parents case.
Yeah, so if the child has developed any unhealthy habits, then the parents are not knowing because they are not spending enough time with the child maybe.
Okay, that way you are saying it. No, but Dr. Sachin has a different question. Sachin, thoda sa articulate karal ka?
Actually, what I want to ask is, even in our times, my parent was only working. I was staying at like hostel, but not exactly hostel. We were rented 4 or 5 rooms, 10 of us together. So we were also away from home. Our parents also have done something or maybe more than this for us. So we were also under stress.
Okay.
Yeah, so this stress we have to handle. I don't think the parents are at mistake or they have provided her for him a separate flat, all the arrangements. What else we are expecting from them?
But Dr. Sachin, you had a capacity to score well. Then expecting that is fine. Not every child has a capacity, but still if you are spending a lot and expecting that him to score, it will create stress in child because it is beyond his ability, his capacity.
Yeah, that's what. But you, as you have stated, they have not stated in words exactly that we were expecting such a result from you. They're just providing all the conditions so that he will score well.
Yeah, but so much adjustment they have done for him that child understands that. Because of me, my parents are sacrificing a lot, and I know I'm not going to score. For example, if I have inadequacy, that will create. Of course, this situation, not every child will behave in the same way, but this particular situation, this child took that path of keeping quiet.
Here, stop talking with everyone. he has stopped taking phones of his friends. Like you rightly said, at least then we have to create some environment around there to ensure that he has someone to talk to. He has someone to kind of share की अरे बापरे मला difficult जात आहे आता मी काय करू.
Yeah.
Something like that, a method of expressing that anxiety and emotions and all that to our friends, which we do generally. You and me do that,
Yes.
especially when we are not
So
stressed.
friend circle become more important than
More
parents
important,
here.
correct, than parents. You are right. इथे त्यांनी काय केलं, त्याला एकटं ठेवून created more problem because their conclusion was की त्याला एकटं ठेवलं तर तो distract नाही होणार.
Yeah.
And it will help him study and focus and all that, whatever that.
मे बी
conclusion.
प्रेशर फक्त असं बोलल्यानेच मुलांवर प्रेशर नाही क्रिएट होत की तुला करावंच लागेल किंवा काय. आपण जे ऍक्ट करतो त्याच्याने पण त्यांच्यावर प्रेशर क्रिएट होतच ना. आता दोघं डॉक्टर आहेत, म्हणजे आई जी आहे ती एमपीएससी युपीएससी वगैरे, ते पण त्या मुलावरती प्रेशर आहेच ना, की पेरेंट्स
आहेच.
इतके हे आहेत. म्हणजे इन वर्ड्स आपण प्रेशर क्रिएटच केलं पाहिजे असं नाहीये मला वाटतं.
बरोबर, अगदी बरोबर.
सर्कमस्टन्सेस पण ते प्रेशर क्रिएट मुलांना आता कळतं की नाही, आई वडील इतकं सॅक्रिफाईस करतायत,
Correct, correct.
एवढे प्रॉपर पोझिशन वरती आहे, आणि आपण जर नाही मीट करू शकलो त्यांचे एक्सपेक्टेशन्स म्हणा किंवा त्यांचे जे आहे त्याच्यात आपण नाही स्टँड अप होऊ शकलो, तर ते पण एक प्रेशर असूच शकतं ना.
हो.
नाही, आणि एवढं
आणि-
करू नये. पुढचं प्रेशर हे त्यांचं वेळोवेळी ते बोलून दाखवत होते, इव्हन माझ्या समोर पण. आमचं तर काही प्रेशर नाही, आमचं तर काही प्रेशर नाही. याचा अर्थ त्याला प्रेशर
म्हणजे
पण
ते-
त्याला ऍग्री करता येणार नाही ना, म्हणजे त्याला असलेलं पण सांगता येत नाही अशा वेळी.
नाही, आजकाल पेरेंट्सचं असं आहे की मुलं काहीतरी ड्रास्टिक स्टेप्स घेतात, त्याच्यामुळे जरी एक्सपेक्टेशन्स असले तरी फक्त हे एक वर्ड असतो बोलायला की नाही, वी आर नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग एनिथिंग फ्रॉम यू, बट
Exactly.
इनर माइंड
नाही, हे एवढी सगळी ऍडजस्टमेंट त्याच्यासाठी चालली, त्याला माहिती ना.
तर एवढी धडपड आहे ती काहीतरी त्याने करावं लाईफ मध्ये त्याच्यासाठीच आहे ना.
ऑब्विसली.
हो.
नाही, आणि मोर दॅन दॅट सचिन सर म्हटलं तसं की एखाद्याची कॅपॅसिटी असेल तर ते ठीक आहे, म्हणजे one can, तो मुलगा कॉन्फिडंट आहे.
नाही, yes, that day, other day we talked about a case, Mahesh, that
Yeah,
fellow has a IQ of 133. Can you believe that? And the same story was repeating there.
दुसरा सेकंड केस. Actually, I thought you were
That is even more
asking
shocking.
that case. Yeah.
Okay, that means they had knowingly or unknowingly tested their IQ of that child 2 years back when he was 9th or 10th मध्ये असताना. It was 132. 132 is a very high IQ.
आणि त्याला भयंकर इनॅडिक्वेसी आलेली.
Bhayankar inadequacy. He was so stressed that he was almost saying every day कि मी pass नहीं होणार है. And every day his parent used to say, don't worry, we are comfortable. Even if you do not cross JE, we are comfortable. But both parents, his father was IIT Kanpur graduate. His mama was IIT Bombay graduate. And he was going through that.
आणि एवढी इनॅडिक्वेसी असतानाही जेईची तयारी करायला लावताय, इटसेल्फ इज म्हणजे हे आहे ना, अजून जास्त बिल्डिंग अपॉन हिज अँझायटी असं.
So what would be the solution here? Only venting out your stress, that's the only thing which
Correct.
kids can do.
Acknowledging की स्ट्रेस
First of
आहे.
all, clear acknowledging this anxiety is very high, boss. I cannot deal with it. I don't think I'm going to pass. And expressing it like in this case, it is a case of 133 IQ. So IQ is not an issue perhaps at all. Perhaps, brilliant academic brilliance is not an issue here.
Yeah.
But issue is की मला एवढा स्ट्रेस आलाय त्याचा आता, आणि मला आलाय आता. There is some reason why I am facing it, and despite I being very academically brilliant. And therefore, you need to help me in dealing with that stress. And probably if you help me that, I will be able to overcome it and I will be able to score JE marks. I will be, perhaps.
आणि इट हर्ट्स मोर की जेव्हा माझ्या आईवडीलच समजून म्हणजे अॅक्नॉलेज नाही करत येत. आणि त्यामुळे
Yeah, sometimes I really feel the friends play important role here.
Yes, very
If
true.
we can vent out our emotion, our stress to
Correct.
someone,
बरोबर
It
आहे.
really helps. So we can't tell our parents that don't expect me to score this and all.
Acknowledge my emotions.
Yes.
म्हणून या सेशन मध्ये आम्ही मुलांना नाही ठेवलेलं. हे तुमच्यावरच गेम प्ले होणार नाही.
Actually, this reminds me of the times when Ujjwal were preparing for UPSC. I was preparing for my MD.
I see.
Both were like, I don't know what's going to happen in future. He was also like, हा तू डॉक्टर तरी राहशील, माझं तर ते पण फिक्स नाही. तर सोडून गेलोय.
अच्छा, I see.
So we just want just trying to exchange our thoughts, our stress to each
Right.
other. We can't even tell to our parents also at that times.
Yes,
आय थिंक
yes.
ऑल ऑफ अस आपण फ्रेंड्समुळे सर्वाइव्ह झालोय म्हणजे खूपदा.
Yes, actually.
Yeah. Friends really have helped, really help us because they are also in the same boat like us, no? I mean, in that sense. So empathy is very easy for us with them.
Yes.
नाही पण या नंतरच्या केसमध्ये सर दुसरा प्रॉब्लेम तो पण होता ना की त्या मुलाला बिकॉज ऑफ इनएडिक्वेसी तो त्याला मित्र पण नव्हते कोणी.
अरे हो, ती तर बरोबर बोललास तो पण वेगळा प्रॉब्लेम झाला होता. म्हणजे मित्र गमावून बसला होता तो सगळे. म्हणजे ऍडिंग फ्युल टू द फायर सारखं झालं.
म्हणजे मला मुलांशी बोलता येत नाही म्हणून मग मला सगळे वेडच म्हणतात बॉस, असं त्याचं मत होतं.
ओके.
Sir,
या
am I audible?
नाही, थोडस आवाज
Hello.
अजून थोडा वाढव.
100%.
हा, आता आला.
Yes, sir. So I just wanted to ask, he जे social skills आहेत, हे for age of Abir, how does that help?
या we'll come to that now.
Okay.
बरोबर आहे. Correct.
Because there are a lot of problems happening sometimes with the
I see.
friends.
I see. Yes. We'll have to spend time now in
where-
understanding how
where
to help them.
bullying happens and
Correct.
how to deal with that bullying, and
Yes.
then also you have to be friends again with those people. And you have to be in the group and you can't be out of the group.
बरोबर.
So how does this three things like role bias, belief bias, does that help me over?
We will talk about it. The entire next session we will devote on that. See, here I purposely focused on you and me because until you understand this problem of a social skill at our level, you will not be able to transfer this solution to your child until you appreciate what your problem is, So
I become very anxious when when there is a problem with Abir with his friends. I become extremely anxious. म्हणजे मीच जास्त anxious होते. आणि then I keep on asking him questions आणि questions is not helping actually. I need to acknowledge his feelings at that time, but I'm not able to do that. And मीच जास्त anxious होते. आणि then I ask him so many questions. Why is that? Why? What are they talking? Why you're not playing? असं खूप होत जातं. आणि मग ते doesn't lead to anything actually.
I see.
And this social this thing really affects his emotional thing also, because if he's not sometimes some days are very nice when socially he's very good, he's not quarreling with anybody, he's having good he's in good terms with his friends, then he is very emotionally sound. And if it is he's not having good terms with his friends and having some quarreling things happening, quarrels happened, and then he is very angry at home overall.
Right. Acha.
So and his behavior is different and he's lost in something, and then I have to really make him for everything I have to be behind him. For everything, for getting ready for his school in time. For a 9-year-old, it is not so difficult actually. I have to literally be behind him because he's lost in some other world.
I see.
And then his anger gets very, very, very much increased because प्रत्येक ह्याच्यात त्याचं he shows in all his actions, whether it
Okay.
is relationship with his brother, or whether he doing some new things and he's not getting that, then he shouts back, and he shouts many times, many places. I am telling him to get ready, then I have to be
Hmm.
behind him, then he's not getting ready. असं म्हणजे a series of cycles goes on this.
Yeah, can understand. Yeah, we'll talk about this, Madhura, in the next session. Yeah, it is important. I can see that. So let us now take time and to understand, something which we missed in the last, shame emotions. So I will start from where we left last time. I am assuming that you have read the summary of the notes on the shame emotions and the jealousy and the anger. So I am taking ahead based on that, my understanding. So one is adopting should rules in the house. Like I said, should rules are rules which will help the parent become righteous. For example, child should be disciplined while doing homework. If this is a rule which I am following at my house, it is very useful for parent, because the parent feels good about it. The parent also feels that there is no pain without gain, and therefore we should not get distracted. If you are sitting for homework, we should sit for homework and not get distracted. But the problem with this should rules is it creates a very righteous emotions, virtuous emotion for parents, and very indignant emotions and resentful emotions for children, because he feels completely throttled with the rules, which he cannot fight also. So we only had tackled the should rules there, and we said that whenever we are having some should rules of cleanliness, of meticulousness, of discipline, of all these things, we should just take a pause and wonder if that rule is really required for our child, and then only follow it, is what we mentioned in the last session. But in one place, which is that place, a place of sexual expression, we must relax our social should rule. So today we are just going to talk about that, because this is something which is affecting our children very much, especially in this mobile world of today's. So social rule of sexual expression. We see it as non-ethical in Indian society, because we feel that questions इतक्या लवकर deal करायचे नसतात. We should not deal with these questions. And we feel shameful rather than ready. But if you remember, the child's questions are just breaching of a social norm, not an ethical norm. Expression of sexuality is not a problem of ethics, but a problem of social norm. Then we will be able to give some time out for our child and answer his sex-related questions. For example, here are some questions you might face. Why boys play outdoor games only? Why stories are always about boys being engineers and girls being doctors? So, especially girls might ask you this, not boys. But some smart boys or rather sensitive boys will have these questions of gender stereotypes. Physical differences. These questions you will face a lot. Why boys have a P? Why girls and women have a breast, a B? Why women have long hair? And children ask these questions very easily, especially children of 8, 9, 10 years ask this very, very easily. They don't have any. Simply विचारतात ते, हे काय? कशामुळे होतंय? What is the reason of that? And remember, I don't know whether you have seen that KBC's channel's video about Kailash Satyarthi, who has done a lot of work on abuse, sexual abuse. He says that 1 in 3 person in India is abused of sex in India. And they are abused not by any external strangers, but by internal relatives. So this is very surprising finding, but which now many people claim is to be true in India also. He might ask you a lot of questions, how babies are born. And you have a very good way of answering it if you can use a metaphor of how babies are born to cow, how babies are born to a bird, how, and you should utilize this questions, sexual related questions, to answer his queries in a very truthful manner, but also in a very contextual manner. You can't tell him exactly this at that age 8, but you can tell him, like I keep on telling that, instead of telling that you have come from the Akash mein se aa gaye ho aap, you can tell him that child is formed when a sperm, papa's sperm and mama's egg come together. So whenever egg and sperm come together, a child is formed. So you were formed in my stomach. So, but not all babies are born in stomach. Some babies are born in eggs also. And then give him that information which he can digest and imbibe. Not something which we don't want to give him technical information. We want to give him information which he can easily relate to and understand. You have, Tella Satyarthi very strongly advises that we should help understand a child what is good touch and what is bad touch, and how people seduce them to get them to touch their private parts. What strategies do they use? We should talk to them. For example, many abusers use a strategy of giving chocolate to the child, or playing a game with the child, that if you do this, then I will give you a kiss, on your gala. And then that is how they touch, they say. So this is how physical abuse starts, they say. And therefore, it is important for us to tell our children about good touch and bad touch. And therefore, they say answering these questions fully, but contextually. Contextually म्हणजे त्याच्या बुद्धीच्या कृतीच्या प्रमाणे सांगावं लागतात ते उत्तर, not the technical answers of it. Another set of questions which we ignore is about ethical issues. How should we live our life? And Socrates says it very beautifully. He says everyone is a philosopher. And a child after 8 or 9 starts asking all these philosophical questions. Why are we living life? आणि जसा तो adolescent होतो, 12, 13, 14 वर्षाचा होतो, he asks very deep questions about adolescence, about philosophy. Why do we live life? कशाला आपण? And the very indirect way of answering this question is not why do we live life. They ask question, what is God? खरं का बोलायचं? खोटं बोललं की काय होतं? So we give them a stories. खोटं बोललं की तुला भूत पकडतो. खोटं बोललं तर तू, like one of the parent here in our school said की खोटं बोललं ना तुझ्या हाताला काय होतं म्हणे, डाग पडतो असं काहीतरी. I don't know what was that logic he was trying to give me, that child, की तुझा डाग असा सडून जातो तुझा हात. So खोटं नाही बोलायचं. So all these are questions about God actually, and we should help him understand what is God. Problem with God is that one is our standard way of teaching philosophy to our child is by helping him understand what is God. Second is by helping him understand philosophies like Buddhism, Sahaj Yoga, or any other philosophy. And third is telling him rationally how universe is formed. So these are 3 different ways we can help our children. Unfortunately, very few professionals find the time and energy to reevaluate their ethical shoots. But this makes our children even more confused and even more directionless. So here are some very good references, which I am sure you must be knowing. Ujjwal sir and we have talked about a lot about these first two books, Richard Dawkins' books and Yuval Harari's books. And they are very useful to teach our child what exactly is the universe, how is this universe formed, how long is this universe going to be, how long our life is going to be here on this universe. हे फार छान आणि खूप सुंदर रीतीने डिस्क्राइब केलेले. When you and me, I know that it is very tough to read these books and come to your opinion. So maybe what we'll do is, because we have formed a group now, and I'm sure some of us has read these books of Richard Dawkins and Yuval Harari and Carl Sagan and all that. We can use our, we can come on Zoom and share what you have read of Carl Sagan and what I have read about Richard Dawkins, and help you understand and help you also help me understand something about science. So we can use these sessions also between us. And it is very, very useful for children because it gives them a clear direction of why to live life. So let us do that maybe as we go along.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think, सगळ्यांनाच उपयोग होईल आपल्या सगळ्यांना, I feel. And therefore, one of the shoots, economic should rules, which we all have, but we never clarify to our child is, what is the value of money in our life? Is money a means to an end or is an end for us? Ecological shoots, which we now are grappling with, which probably child is asking every day. Thandi, why this Thandi is going in right now in January also and February also? Why are these extreme weathers becoming a norm now? Why are we having rains in the month of January? All these are actually ecological should rules, and now a lot of literature is available on this. Like those ethical shoulds, we again have very little time to evaluate them and understand them, and therefore we often do not explain this to our child. And now let us take some 2-3 cases of negotiating shame emotions, which we did not take last time. And we can stop anytime we like. So, for example, shame emotions, I said, are generated by having some rule. So generally you will have your child, तुम्ही तुझ्या मुलाला सांगाल, you must come back to a house at 7 o'clock. तू जर नाही आला तर तुला जेवायला देणार नाही आहे 7 वाजता. Or whatever, you might have some other punishment. So whatever that rule, failure of not coming in time, that rule, should rule you have, imagine you have put in. If you can mirror the emotion of not coming on time, when the child comes at 7:30, what is the objective of mirroring? Child should know what action should he take to come at 7 o'clock. That's all. है ना? इतकं simple mirroring झालं पाहिजे. And if you don't mirror, what do? You blame him, you label him, you give him punishment. So he's coming after 7:30. So instead of mirroring the emotion, you blame him. तू दररोज तुला मी सांगतोय, तू दररोज तू ऐकत नाही, दररोज तू विसरून जातोस. So you are useless, you are careless, you are, we use these labels, We also give him punishments many times. Now I'm not going to take you in the house. To आता 5 minutes, you stand outside the house. We give them such punishments also. Or we will not show you cartoon, which he wants to see every day. So let us use some of the cases to understand this. So here is the first case. Shreyas, 10 वर्षाचा, went out for playing at 5 p.m. with his friends. Mom had told him to come at 6:30. But like usual, he comes late at 7 p.m. How will you show you are upset? How will you mirror your emotion, his emotion? काय कराल तुम्ही? What will you do? दीपालीची मुलगी आहे ना 10 वर्षाची, विभावरी. दीपाली, आर यू देअर?
नाही.
नाही आहे का? ओके. So what will you do? Any suggestions?
Sir, we should ask him that लेट झाला का? अच्छा, कशामुळे लेट झाला? म्हणजे हे
Okay.
विचारायचं की काय कशामुळे लेट झाला. मग तो कदाचित सांगेल की ही मॅच जास्त वेळ चालली आमची म्हणून लेट झाला. सॉरी मग मी 6:30 ला यायला पाहिजे होतं पण मी 7 वाजता आलो.
ओके.
असं तो म्हणजे हे करेल. असं मी त्याला विचारेन त्याला प्रश्न म्हणजे की तुला
Okay.
कसं काय झालं रे, लेट झाला, 7 वाजून गेले, असं विचारेन.
Will you show you are upset?
Yes, I will show him that I am upset.
How will you show? For example, what will you say?
I'm really feeling angry at present because तू 6:30 ला येणार होता आणि you have come at 7.
Very good, beautiful.
But I will not show it through like म्हणजे खूप वेळा असं आपण दाखवत नाही की आपल्याला अँग्री आहोत असं.
हो, बरोबर. आपण
आपण वेगळ्या वेगळ्या ऍक्शन्स दाखवतो.
बरोबर. आपण त्याला पनिशमेंटच देतो डायरेक्ट, म्हणजे इन्स्टेड ऑफ शोइंग.
थांबतो आता घराच्या.
बरोबर.
किंवा त्याला म्हणजे हळूहळू सांगू की आता बघ तुला आज काय मी करते किंवा काय असं होतं. पण मग तो ऑलरेडी घाबरलेला असतो ऍक्च्युली. तो तेव्हा 7 ला सांगितलंय आणि 6:30 ला सांगितलं आणि 7 ला आलोय, तेव्हा ऍक्च्युली तो घाबरलेला असतो. We just have to mirror his emotion of fear that he is late, so we should tell him that you are late. It's okay, but I am really upset at present now, so you can just have your bath and give me some time to get back to normal.
Okay. That is even better way of doing it. Instead of saying that I am not upset about it, or instead of trying to discuss rationally about why is he coming late, we can even just say I am very upset that you again came late today, and I don't want to talk about it at all now, so please come inside. But I will take some time for this to subside in my head, so I will until that time not talk to you. This is a brilliant way of mirroring your emotion. Here you are not mirroring his emotion, but it gives a very beautiful and a very clear message that that you are also emotional person like he is. We often don't do this, or rather we do it, like you rightly said, in a very wrong way. We will punish him and we will shout at him and we will say ki kitida sangayacha tula, every day I have to tell you and you keep on forgetting it. Kiwa I will punish him by not I will tell him that you have to stand here outside the house for 5 minutes. Or I will tell him that तुझ्यासाठी मी आज आईस्क्रीम आणलंय, but I am not going to give you ice cream today. असं पण. So we express our emotions in a very wrong way. So we have to learn this trick of expressing our emotions in a very very adult to adult manner, not in the manner in which we blame the child and label the child and punish the child. And so sometimes it is as simple as that. But secondly, have you observed what is it? Tell me, does he know the difference between 6:30 and 7?
An elder child may be knowing that if he has a watch on his hand,
Okay.
but as such, in general, they don't.
Generally, they don't. Correct. And especially, like they say, if the age of the child is less than 8, he has no sense of time. Like after 8, yes, he will start getting the difference between 7:30 and 8 and all that, all those things. So in other words, if you want him to understand the difference between 6:30 and 7, what should you do? Any clues? Okay, think about it. Okay. This is another case. Siraj sat for his homework, but as he started his homework, he could not find his arithmetic notebook. He panicked. He started searching it everywhere. Siraj's mother knew that this was his regular problem. Because he forgot where he kept his books and where he kept his pencils, where he kept his notebook. And he spent considerable time, therefore, in searching them. So Siraj's mother was watching his frenzied action. She was looking in every book and drawer and, in his bag and everywhere. But she refrained from helping him. She thought Siraj must learn the importance of keeping things at place which she kept, which she kept harping, which she kept on reminding him all the time. What do you think? Was she doing the right thing? Right thing, manje? Was she right in not helping him? Was she right in not saying anything? असं generally होतं. I don't know whether you must have experienced it in your house. Sometimes child forgets की homework काय आज.
समटाइम्स नाही, रोज माझ्याकडे रोज होतं.
अच्छा.
खेळण्याच्या आधीची केस पण रोजची आहे, ही पण रोजची आहे.
Oh, I see. मग काय करता तुम्ही?
काय नाही करायचं हे माहिती असतं.
ओके.
पण काय करायचं हे सापडत नाही, त्यामुळे त्याच्यामध्ये इतकं डिले होऊन जातं की ते मुक्तालाही वाटतं की चालतंय.
अच्छा अच्छा. ओके.
तयार असत. आणि अवघड असतं असं रोज होत असेल तर.
करेक्ट.
इट्स व्हेरी डिफिकल्ट टू, म्हणजे ओरडणं नाही किंवा बोलायचं.
बरोबर बरोबर.
ओरडावंच लागतं.
करेक्ट.
हा, एकदा फक्त लक्षात आलं की तिला आवडलं नाही माझं खूप जोरात ओरडणं. वरतून खाली मुलं खेळत असतात ना, तिला ते कसतरी झालं असेल.
हो, आय सी.
वरतून बोलली सगळ्यांच्या.
अच्छा, you shouted from your balcony and she was down. अच्छा, oh, okay.
It like it. So next time I use it, if you don't come, I'm going to shout.
Oh, acha. Okay. So you used the punishment method of acha.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. 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 And here it is so difficult not to do anything. Just watch your child searching for his homework book, searching for what to do, and not do anything. Like Mahesh is saying, we barge inside and we just try to search the book. We try to tell her what is the homework. And my एकदा ती पद्धत set झाली की then every day this method is exactly repeated exactly in the same fashion next day also.
Yeah.
Because we have taken the responsibility of doing the homework now on us. Case 3. Neil, age 6, spills water when he was carrying glass of water for his grandfather. You have a rule in the house of mopping the water whenever the water is spilled while carrying. But he is refusing to mop. What will you do? So it's a rule you have put in the house that whenever water falls, you have to take the pocha and you have to clean it and keep it back. That's all. So it's a should rule which you have created in the house so that you feel that will help the child get disciplined and correct his own mistakes.
You should ask the child that why do you don't want to do this? Why do you don't want to do this? Why do
Okay.
you don't want to do the mop? Child may give his own explanation. Then you have to respect him.
You have to see what his explanation is, whatever that
What
explanation.
the explanation is.
Okay. Okay.
You have to try to explain him that if you don't mop, then somebody may fall on this water.
Okay.
So
let us imagine that he may say, "Ki I don't want, I'm not going to clean because I was not playing with the water. I was taking water for the grandfather." No? For example, here in this case.
Then I take the mop and mop it for him.
Okay. No, but still still the question still remains. Na? Acha, so you were taking the water for your grandpa and the water fell down. And because you are taking water for the grandpa and the water fell down, now you don't want to mop. Is that so? Because you are not, see, he is assuming that only when he is playing with the water, only when he is making mistake of spilling the water by playing some pranks or something like that, he is supposed to mop. Hai na? He is making an assumption there.
Right.
Sir, we have only 5 participants left.
Okay. No, we'll close it now. It is already 11 what? 11:50. Yeah.